The Flash is one of the most beloved DC characters of all time. Arguably one of the most beloved comic characters of all time. We already got him in live action with his own show, and then whatever Snyder told us was The Flash. But with James Gunn's relaunch of the DC Cinematic Universe, we are going to be getting a brand new live action Flash. We are the Hive. Lucky for you, it's just me today, and I'm going to be going over 7 things James Gunn absolutely needs to do for the DCU Flash. First things first, let's go over what we do in fact know about DCU Flash. Within Creature Commandos, in the dream sequences, we see the Justice League all laid out, including some other superheroes not on the League, like Starfire for example. One of the heroes laid out in this dream sequence was in fact confirmed to be Wally West.
Are you able to confirm any of those silhouettes? Like, I was surprised, to see what seems to clearly be Starfire, and I'm pretty confident I saw like a Wally West Teen Titan Flash off to the right.
Yeah.
Did I see that right?
Yeah.
So because the wording was very specific to Teen Titans Wally West, it's unconfirmed if this is going to be actual Wally West within his Teen Titans years, or if it's the young Wallace West. And of course, it's unclear if this is Wally as the main Flash on the Titans, or if this is still younger Wally West on the Teen Titans. But with this information laid out, let's go over what James Gunn needs to do for DCU Flash. Kicking us off with the most important point, Barry needs to start as the main Flash within the DCU. Now, I can't talk about why this is so important without diving into Wally. For most people, Wally is their Flash, and we all want to see him as the main Flash within the DCU. However, all of Wally's best stories and the material that you want to adapt into live action come from Wally being the main Flash. And I don't mean just him being in the spotlight, no. Him being the one and only Flash within Keystone City. Having Barry also exist somewhere else without all the development that they've had together through the rebirth era of DC, it just doesn't work the same. What separates Wally from Barry specifically is he's younger. His relationships with the League members versus the Titans is completely different. So instead of forcing Wally into the driver's seat immediately and forcing him to have those connections with the League only, give him his dedicated time away from the main Flash role and let him be with the Titans, let him develop. Because through that development, Wally gains his best traits, that being his dynamics with his mentor Barry. This dynamic deserves to be on screen. Let Barry be the main Flash and have him mentor Wally. Establish Barry as an important character, let him have some of his most iconic storylines, all while simultaneously building up Wally. This way, both Barry Allen fans get to see his most iconic stories, and Wally West fans get to see the development they all deserve. After going through 9 seasons of The Flash, nobody wants to see dynamics like Team Flash ever again. We need Barry to have a true dynamic with a League member, someone he truly views as equal. My best vote would be to give him Hal so that idea is cooked. So we give him the second best option. Batman is his next most trusted member of the League next to Hal. So focus on this dynamic being a real friendship, because unlike majority of Batman's relationships with other superheroes, he considers Flash a friend. And the reason we see them get into conflict is because they have such high respect for one another. They have nearly identical moral codes, but they have different methodology. This contrasting dynamic needs to be explored further within the DCU. It's good to see cameos every now and then outside of the big team-up movies, and it should make sense because the relationship is organic. This is the primary one we need to see for Barry. Now to talk a little bit about the villains. The next thing James Gunn needs to do for DCU Flash is don't hyper-focus on Reverse Flash. Now, I know this may sound like a crazy concept, since every live-action Flash loves reusing the speedster villain trope. The Flash has one of the greatest rogues galleries in comic book history. Gorilla Grodd, Captain Cold, Heatwave, Mirror Master, the Trickster, Weather Wizard. Even if you did want to dive into speedsters, villains like Godspeed, Flash has other great villains other than Eobard Thawne. The reason Flash has such a large rogues gallery is because of his no-kill rule. He has relationships with these characters that have been ongoing for decades. And the thing that makes them so unique in comparison to other villains, the rogues have a no-kill rule themselves. Flash tries to rehabilitate these villains. he has personal connections with them because a lot of them aren't sadistic psychopaths. Flash wants to help the root of their issues. I don't want to see Reverse Flash again and again and again and again when there are too many great opportunities to tell unique stories with Flash's villains. By now, everybody should know that Flash's power comes from the Speed Force, but it's never properly dove into the way it should be. The CW show tried to do it, but they kind of rushed it and mischaracterized what it should be. It's not a living person per se, but it is a spiritual entity. Take time establishing its place in the cosmology, its role in the cosmology, and how it interacts with everything else. Show its applications in unconventional ways. Instead of just making the Flashes run fast, have all of the powers shown, such as dimension hopping or time travel, and make it clear how the Speed Force affects the world and concepts like time. Again, this will be easier to establish if you make its presence in the cosmology known, and have the different speedsters interact with the Force separately. Wally should be faster because of his connection to the Speed Force. Barry should interact with it in a more logistic and scientific way. You know when people say Gotham should be its own character when we're talking about Batman stuff? That's what we need with the Speed Force. Make it have personality, but again, it's not a living person. This is going to be an add-on to the Speed Force point, but we need to go in depth and show Flash's powers working in other ways than just running fast. Specifically when it comes to the more overpowered applications of speedsters. The biggest of the bunch would be time travel. Because both the Justice League movie and the Flash show didn't have an entire cosmology behind it, time travel scenes were ass. I want to see the cosmic treadmill be implemented and then actually have Barry have to run into the Speed Force and then into the time stream. And don't hype this application of the power set up like it's something crazy that the Flashes can't do normally. Obviously, at the start, it should be a little bit more difficult, but by the time we get to Wally, he should just be able to do this casually whenever he wants, like we see him do on multiple different occasions. Now for Flash's design. James Gunn needs to give the suit Speed Force aura. And no, I don't just mean giving him lightning around himself. The suit itself should look like it's from the Speed Force. Yes, the classic suits are damn near perfect, but they're a little outdated. All you have to do to modernize it is give it that Speed Force aura. Keep it as close to the Rebirth design as possible. Both Barry and Wally's designs in this era are perfect. This also gives a perfect visual distinction between the two speedsters. And this is really just a personal thing for me. James Gunn doesn't have to do this specifically, but give Wally the blue lightning. Even when he's the main Flash, let him keep this suit and give him that bluish white lightning. I think one of the worst decisions DC made was making Wally go from his Rebirth suit back to his outdated classic suit, and then now giving him this weird garbage looking design post Absolute Power. I think the reason why was to keep the Flash ring rather than the Speed Force generating the suit on the speedsters, but I don't see why you can't just keep that same Speed Force design look, but just have it come out of the Flash ring. Here's just an additional added on bonus point. Show Barry's intelligence. Even though Barry was depicted as intelligent in his own show, he was sidelined by smarter scientists like Cisco and Wells. I want to see Barry be the scientist who's creating technology aiding him in his crime fighting. And I want to see him working with other intelligent members of the League. He should team up with Mr. Terrific and Batman, instead of him just relying on other people to do it for him. And even though Wally is not as intelligent as Barry, you can still work to show his intelligence too. I don't know why this hasn't been more of a focal point for Flash media. Now, finally, James Gunn, I beg you, commit to the legacy role and let Wally flourish. When Wally becomes the main Flash, he is not a co-partner Flash. Have Barry either retire or die. It doesn't have to be Crisis on Infinite Earths, but at this point in time, Barry should be out of the picture. Ideally, Barry should die though. By this point in time, Barry is fully developed and his death will be impactful and rewarding to Wally. Now we can see Wally fully adopt the role and take over as the strongest and fastest Flash. Now is the perfect time where you can add him to the JLA, where all of his relationships have already been established, and you can show a meaningful difference between Barry on the League and Wally on the League. This is not something you can go halfway on. So that's the video for today. If y'all agree with anything I said, let me know with hitting the like button. And if you have anything that you want for the Flash that I didn't list in this video, comment it down below. If you enjoy DCU content, or if you want to see comic power scaling and versus battles, please subscribe to the channel, and we will catch you in our next video.